Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Justin, and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Ship Life. So, before we get off into today's episode, I do have a couple really quick announcements for you guys. So, as I said in yesterday's upload, I do have a Ship Life Instagram that will be debuting next week. So my intentions for this Instagram to be jumping on this platform is to hopefully, bring the Ship Life community together like it never has before. That's my intention. That's wishful thinking. But hopefully I'll bring people together. Like I said, on this Instagram, I will be having, ship news because ships like to tip over or have a fire or whatever the case is. I'll be reporting that as far as keeping everybody aware and up to date as far as what's going on. I'll also be having, maybe jokes that maybe only ship people can understand. And along with that, maybe if things are going well, I will also be having, maybe like some Ship Life merchandise, something for the ship people that would maybe be entertaining or funny or something like that or catchy, because I don't think that community or that I guess that market has been jumped on yet. So hopefully I'll be into that, I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking too much like an entrepreneur. We'll see. But anyway, that's my plan for that. So that'll be coming up next week. But also next week, I have another announcement for you guys. I will be starting a brand new YouTube series along with my Ship Life series. So the name of my series is called The Pursuit, which also happens to be, the name of my channel. So when I originally started my channel, I wasn't just thinking about cruise ships. I just happened to be on the ship on contract at the time. All right? So I call my channel The Pursuit because I believe that people should be pursuing the things that they want with their lives rather than doing what they feel like they have to do or what they've been told to do. So I'll be having my Pursuit series, which will be, based around me, of course, but I just hope that it will inspire people to maybe do more. So in that series, it'll be, some random stuff from time to time, but I will be including, my side hustles that I have going on. Like, for example, I mess around with Facebook Marketplace. I hustle on that. I do Uber and Lyft on the side as well, which works out perfectly for me. I've been doing it for about 2.5 years because since I'm always traveling and I have breaks in between my gigs, I do this to supplement for the income that I could possibly be making elsewhere. I'll be doing that. I'll also have my dancing videos as far as my gigs and competitions. So stay tuned for that because I know a lot of people have been asking to see that kind of content. So, hopefully, you guys find that enjoyable and informative and all that. I'll leave a, of course, a poll here or here. I never remember what side it's on. Just getting your opinion as far as what you guys think about all that. But anyway, I don't want to blab on too much about, unrelated stuff. Let's get off into today's episode. Today we will be talking about privileges for the crew while on board the ship doing their contracts. I will be going over the ins and outs as far as what amenities you have available to you, what restaurants you're allowed to go to, who's allowed to do what. I'll be going over all of that. So stay tuned and get ready to enjoy another fun-filled episode of Ship Life.
Let's go!
Get in there, Darius!
Alright, so before I get off into today's episode, guys, this is really important. As always, please keep in mind that everything I say is not a fact. Do not take it verbatim. Understand that everything I say is my personal opinion from the things that I've personally experienced and the things that I've seen with other people. Now, things will always vary, as always, will always vary depending on what cruise line you're working with and what department you're in, all right? That will always be a factor. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So let's go ahead and jump off into privileges. So I know a lot of people want to know, and I know it's been a very, very hot topic. People want to know what the ship life is really like as far as what you're allowed to do. I know you guys have seen plenty of videos of people hanging out with the guests, of crew hanging out with the guests, and doing all these great things, doing excursions and whatnot in ports, and doing all these crazy, fun, wild, amazing things. All right. Now, while all that may be true, as I've explained in my other videos, and you're talking about port times and all that, there are always factors as far as who has the time to do what, also who has the privilege to do what, which is what this video is about. Now, I'm going to go ahead and speak how things were on my cruise line, all right, how things worked during my contracts. So on my particular cruise line that I work for, everybody unfortunately is divided. All right, there's always the hierarchy thing too, but people are literally divided with our identification cards. All right, now on my ship, you are either a yellow card or a white card. All right, that's it. Now the yellow card is something that I was, which means I was a principal character on the ship. So I got a yellow card, which means I have the privileges to go pretty much anywhere that I want on the ship at pretty much any given time, as long as I keep in mind and remember that the guests always come first, which is understandable because they're the ones paying, and I just live on the ship, so it makes sense. I'll get more into that, but I just want to break things down as far as how things are. So there's a yellow card, and then the white card is obviously, for the most part, self-explanatory. The white card are the for the crew that have limitations. Now I'm gonna break down as far as who has what card and whatnot too as well. But for the white card, people have limitations, and they have little to no privileges, unfortunately. And a lot of the times they might not have privileges just because of the workload they have. So let's jump off into that. I'm going to go ahead and break that down for you guys right now. So let's talk yellow card. All right. So obviously yellow card is the the privileged group, the privileged individuals, and honestly a lot of times the most hated group of individuals by your own crew. I'm not going to get off into that because this isn't what we're talking about today. But basically, when you get a yellow card, it means that you have, the ability to do things at your own leisure that most crew wouldn't. For example, you can go to like the basketball court, you can go to the restaurants, and I'll go into more detail as far as that goes in a minute. But first things first, the people that are usually given the yellow card, and it actually is like, there's like a yellow stamp or like a yellow mark on your card as well. The people that usually get the yellow cards are obviously, people like principal entertainers. Principal means that you are like in a big show, like a my show, for example, which was a Broadway show, or like a stage or a show that's like in the main theater. So I was a principal character in my show, which means I got a yellow card. Other people that may get a yellow card would be like the higher ups, like the stage manager, the captain, obviously. The officers, they get yellow cards, which means they can go to wherever they want. Now, given we still do have limitations, like on my ship, for example, we are only allowed to be out past a certain point, which on my ship was 1 a.m. We had to be back in the crew area at 1 a.m. But in that meantime, we were allowed to do other things, all right? So we were allowed to, being privileged and having the yellow card, we were allowed to go to the guest clubs. We were allowed to drink liquor, because on my cruise line we weren't allowed to drink liquor like vodka and all that in the crew area. So we were allowed to drink liquor. We were allowed to go to the restaurants, given that it wasn't busy, all right? And we were allowed to do things like, which they would prefer on port days or at night. For example, we were allowed to go to the basketball court. We were allowed to go to the gym, the guest gym, which is a lot better than the crew gym, obviously. That's where I would go to practice because they have a dance studio in there. We would go do all these things, right? And we would never be bothered. The only problem that we ran into a lot of the time was with the restaurants, because who else runs the restaurants but the crew with the white cards? There was always this little, headbutt thing going on, because as privileged, we had the time and we had the leisure and the ability to go to guest areas and go to guest restaurants. But when we get there, we have to deal with the white cards. Like I explained in my my other video, there is just like a hierarchy going on, and a lot of entertainment, they kind of ruin it. There might be that one guy that ruins it for everybody else, and they think they're better than everybody else, so they come in there very proud and posh and whatnot, trying to get into the guest restaurant. And there's a crew member with the white card that will never be able to experience this. They tell you no, and that's usually it. There's some arguments that happen here and there, but again, we're not talking about that. That does happen, but we do have the ability to go to these restaurants, given that they aren't busy. But it's also up to the other crew members that happen to be managing that establishment at the time. All right. I think that's it for the most part. We do have the ability to go to the gym. We can go to the spa as well. We do have to pay. We get a discount. We get even more of a discount if, let's say, for example, you know somebody in the spa. You'll get a nice little discount. You get a discount on port days, of course. So we get to do all that stuff. We can go down the water slides on port days. We can go to the basketball gym. We can go to the basketball courts and all that. Play mini golf on port days or in the evening time. So all that definitely goes down. We're allowed to, pretty much live as a guest if you have the yellow card, which honestly is a lot of, pretty unfair to me at times. But a lot of it just has to do with availability and whatnot. Now, let's go over to the white card. So, when it comes to having the white card, you have, honestly, and I'm just going to be straight up with you guys, you have little to no privileges as far as being allowed in the guest area. Now, it sucks. It does. Honestly, I think it's not really fair. But a lot of the times, to certain standpoints, it's understandable. So the people that typically have white cards a lot of the times are, let's say for example, the people from other countries that don't speak English. And the last thing a cruise line wants is for somebody, a guest needing help with something or wanting some information and they can't provide it, because it just makes the whole company look bad. Like they just hired somebody that they felt was unqualified to handle the job. Which I'm not saying that's true. Don't get me wrong, in any way. There are a lot of talented people. Just because you only speak one language does not mean you're dumb. Trust me, I'm American. But anyway, and I'm not jabbing at Americans either, but that has nothing to do with the whole situation. It's just you got to think of things from like a corporate standpoint or like a big company standpoint. They don't want any bad image of their company or their brand. So they want people out there that can, look the part and be helpful in any way possible. So those people typically aren't allowed, like with their white card, they're not allowed into the clubs. They can't go to the guest clubs. They have limited access to certain restaurants. They can go there given that they're going with a group and they get approval for their manager. They can't just walk into the restaurant and say, "Give me a table." It's not a thing. Let me see. They're not allowed past certain hours. We have a free dining area, like a buffet called the Garden on our ship. If you have a white card, you're only allowed there past certain hours. So I think you're allowed there before, I believe it was 8 a.m. You're allowed to go to eat breakfast, and you're allowed there after 10 p.m. It was 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., something like that, that they were allowed to go enjoy the buffet, the guest buffet, and not have to go to the mess. So, yeah, that was definitely a thing. That went down. I'm trying to think if I can think of anything else as far as privileges. I believe they were allowed to also go to the spa. They weren't allowed in the guest gym ever, unless there was like a cycling class or something like that, in which at that point they had to get approval for their manager as well. They can go to the spa as long as they call beforehand and make their arrangements, given that they're not working at the time. Let me see, other privileges that everybody may have. If you happen to have the day off, when it comes to port days, you can always, as crew, go talk to the excursion team on the ship. They will always give you a discount. They'll always try their best to hook up their fellow crew. I think that's it for the most part. A lot of people, crew, it doesn't matter if you're white card or yellow. A lot of people enjoy Starbucks. You're allowed to go into the guest area real quick, given that you either have on your uniform, that you look appropriate, meaning you're kind of somewhat dressed up. you're allowed to go in there and get a coffee real quick. Go into Starbucks, get your mocha frappes or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not a Starbucks guy. I'm not really, I don't know, coffee savvy. But yeah, you're allowed to go do all of that. And of course, we have like our days on the ship where we have like the guest areas. Some of the guest areas, like the theaters, shut down so we can have movie night for the crew. We'd have a crew party once a month, which I've explained in another video as far as like crew parties. Just look up that video as well. I'll maybe have a link somewhere here or here. But yeah, so I think that's it for the most part. As always, guys, like I said, this stuff comes from the top of my head. Don't take everything for fact. If there's anything else you guys want to know at all, please go ahead and hit me up in the drop box below. Contact me. I leave my Instagram tag and email below. I think that's it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it as always. I have another video coming out on Sunday. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. All right? Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys take it easy. Peace.